Welcome to part two of this home lab. So what we are going to be doing today is we are going to be creating organizational units. So we'll have three. So basically, OUs, they are like containers, a kind of way that we structure, departments. You can say, um, so if you have a sales department, you would create a sales OU. If you have an IT department, same thing, and you would create one for HR. It all makes sense when we start the lab. And so you can see what I'm trying to say. So it's just basically a structure where you could create different containers and then, have users in them in those specific kind of like departments or something like that. But we'll see what that means. So we'll create OUs and then we'll have users in those OUs. So we'll have users in sales and then we'll have users in IT and same thing. And then we'll do security groups where instead of having to apply permissions to each user, you could create a group and then you assign permissions to that group. That way, if you have new users, you don't have to go in and then manually do stuff. Again, it'll make sense when we start. So yeah, let's just get to it. Let's see. So we go back to our server manager, like this dashboard. So we go to tools, and we on the previous lab we installed this, and then just go to Active Directory users and computers, and we open that. I'll just pin this to my taskbar because we always use this. So in here, this is where we could create our OUs. So we have to create sales and a couple of others. So this is the default. It comes with I guess you can say these are OUs as well, but we'll create ours. So you just right click on this and go to new and then click on organization and unit. So we'll create sales and click on OK. And then we'll do a new one for use. And then we'll create HR. Everyone loves HR, right? And then we'll go new and then we'll go organizational unit and then we'll create IT. And that will be IT. So now we have three organizational units, kind of like three departments, and then we'll have our users in this department. So we'll create users. I guess that's the second thing. Yep, create users in those OUs. So in sales, we'll just right click in sales and then click on new user. So we'll create someone and we can name him Tango. And give them a last name as well. Let's say Mango. It rhymes, right? And then the name that they'll use to log in, you can just do T Mango and then hit next. And then we'll set a default password for them. So I'll just put a password. Let's say, so check this. So when you log in, you change your password. It's not good that the IT department knows your password. And then finish. And then we'll go to HR. We'll just create someone in HR. The same thing, go to new, go to user. And then first name for HR, we can put what name could we work? Chinese, maybe? And I mean, you could do a last name. I'm not going to do that anymore. I'll just put Chinese. Next, password. Next. And same thing for HR. We'll create a user in HR. In HR, we can do Teddy. And let's say his logon name is Teddy. Create a password for him. And so I hope you are getting the idea in here. So we have a sales group, another sales group. We have a sales OU. And in the sales OU, we have a user named this person. Same thing for HR. And kind of like departments, right? So we are kind of separating, you know, who belongs to what, basically. So sales is this, HR that, and then it would be easier for us to now, assign permissions based on where they are, if that makes sense. But we'll get to that in a moment. Yeah, so that's how you create, users manually. We will be creating users using PowerShell soon. So I will get to that. Let's see what's next. I think the next thing we do is create groups. So we are going to be creating groups. The way groups work is if you have to assign a permission, you don't want to go in here and then, assign permissions like to each and every individual on its own. What you want to do is, let's say you want to share a file and then, there's a certain file in the server you want to share. You wouldn't go in the file server and then, click on share and then start typing in each user in a whole OU. So if there are 50 users in here, I mean, you wouldn't go in and then try to filter for 50 users and try to share that file to each and every one of them. What you do is in the real world, you create a group, a security group, and then you apply the permission to that group, and then that group contains the users. So that way, all you need to do is assign permissions to one group, and then everyone that's in that group get that same permission. That just makes it way, way easier. So yeah, we'll just create a group in our sales. We'll go to group, and we'll name this the sales group underscore group. Is that the same thing I have? Let me just double check. Yep. So sales underscore group. And we'll have this security check. Distribution is for email. You don't want to have that. So that's okay. And then we'll do the same for HR. Go new group. And then we can do HR underscore group. Okay. We do the same for IT. We can do IT underscore group as well. So it's not done. I know it feels like because you have HR group in HR, it doesn't automatically have this person under the group, right? You actually have to go in and then assign, add users to this group. And this was the error I made. Sometime I created the group in here, and then I just thought that, because it's in HR, the permission that the person in HR would just automatically be in the group because they are in the same OU, but it doesn't work like that. So you have to go in and then, add someone. So as you can see, when you go to properties, you can go to members. So there's no one here now. Again, my point, just because you have HR group and the user in the same OU, it doesn't automatically mean that, this user is a member of this group. So you have to go in here and then you search for Janice, since you want them to be under the HR group. And okay, apply, okay. And now Janice is a member of the HR group. So that's the idea, but you'll get it more as we go forward. Same thing with sales. So we want to make sure that we add our T guy into the sales group. I'm applying and click on OK. And you do the same for IT as well. Number off, and we'll just put 30 in there. Check names. It brings up the name. Then OK, apply. OK. So now Teddy is part of the IT group. It will all make sense when we start doing permissions and file share. So that's how you create a security group. And that's how you add members to a security group. But in the real world, you don't you don't go creating users and then manually adding them and all that. In the real world, you have a list of users, and then you use like PowerShell to automate the whole process. That way, things are easier, less mistakes and all that. So I think that would be the next section of the lab. Yep, so we've added users to corresponding groups, and we did create this. So we are going to add users using PowerShell. Okay, so for PowerShell, before we run the PowerShell script, we have to create a CSV file. I think I already have that file. Let me check. I have a link to this. So this is the file. This file is just a user's file. Basically, it just contains all of our users in a CSV format. Let me refresh this. Oh, I don't think I have internet. I think my Wi-Fi went down. Let me just reconnect and we'll refresh the page and see what happens. Anyway, I'll just show you the file. I think I already have it. So I put the CSV file in local disk, my local disk C. So I created a folder called script, and then I put the CSV file in here. So when you open up scripts, you see you've got a users.csv. I'll just open this. And you can create it with Notepad as well. So this is the CSV file. So let's say you work at a company, you've got a lot of people that were hired. You wouldn't go in manually and then, the way we do create users in Active Directory, right click users, name and all that. You wouldn't do that. That's just, what if you have 50 people or 100 people, that's where we did automation, and PowerShell does a very good job doing that. So what we need to do is we make a list like this: first name, their last name, their username that they use to sign in. I did their OUN group just so once we onboard them, they just go into the right section. And then their name, the username. This is the OU, the HR OU for someone that's going to be in HR, right? So put them in the HR OU, and then we'll just put them in the HR group as well. So it would be easy for us to give them permissions. Just a side note, when you create this CSV file, the group name and your OU shouldn't match exactly what you have. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Whatever you have in Active Directory should match this exactly. So as you can see, our OU is named IT. It's the same that I have in here. If it's small letter, it's case sensitive, so you don't want to make that mistake. Users as well. Oh no, on users, sorry, sales. You've got sales, same thing with the group, sales group. So if we open sales, we see the sales group as well. It's the same naming. everything should be the same. Because if you make an error with this, when PowerShell goes into, do the automation, it wouldn't find this, and then you get a bunch of errors. Just a side note. So to create this USB, you could use Notepad to do it. Just make sure when you're saving, um, you know, when you do save, you put the file name .csv, and then you do all files. You don't do text. You do all files, and then you click on save, and it would create this CSV file. So yeah, that's it. And we'll put this again in the scripts folder. I just did. You don't have to do. You could name this anything you want. I don't know. I chose script because I'm using PowerShell, and yeah. And this would be the location where it grabs the info from. So now I will just open up PowerShell, and then I will go to check the scripts. So typing PowerShell. I like to use the ISC. The ISC has got the good scripting format. So you can paste scripts, and you could, write scripts in here. So now we'll go get our onboarding script. So I'll leave a link to this anyway. This is the script. I know it looks scary, but trust me, it's not. So this is our onboarding script. There's a lot of comments in here. That's why it's so much like this. Just copy this. I'll put a link again. And we'll paste it in PowerShell. So we'll go ahead and we'll run the script. And let's see what happens. Okay, so our script failed. And this is actually good. So we understand why. Let's see. Group member cannot add group member. So this would be the add group member was the issue. Okay. So yeah, so it's a good thing that this failed. I think I ran into the same problem at some point. I think I know why. So let's go back to our users. Just right click on this and open with. So I think I know why this failed. Everything else worked. So as you can see, everything else worked, but then this add group member thing, this command has an issue. I guess there's something wrong with the group member, adding them to the group. So this is the problem right here. PowerShell reads this space that you see right here. I ran into this issue once, so I just put that in here too. So if it happens to you at some point, you should know what happens. So PowerShell reads this space. It's a space here. So to fix this issue, you just hit the backspace and you close that space. It's that case sensitive. I don't even know if I'll say it's space sensitive, but it's really sensitive. So close this space. So there's no space here, no space here. So that's good. And then we'll just save it again without the space. So it did create the user. So if we go back, everything else worked. It created the users, put them in their OU. I think it did, yeah. So IT, Jane Smith, this is new. It did create them for HR. It did create John Doe, same thing for sales. It did create Mike Brown. The thing is, they are not part of the security group. So it did create them, but it did not put them in the security group. So it put them in the corresponding OUs, as we did have on here, right? Oops. As you can see, you put them in the corresponding OUs, but then the corresponding group failed because of that space. And let me show you. So if we open up the sales group, right, and we go to members, you can see that we have just one member in here, which is just Tango Mango. We should have a Mike Brown in here, but because PowerShell, it looped through it and then it didn't find this group, this heading because of the space. It included the space in it and then failed because it tried to read it as group space and we don't have a group space. So that's what happened. Same thing if you go to HR, the HR group, if you go to members, you can see that Janice is the only member, even though we've got John Doe here as well. So check your spaces is very important. I'll just copy this. I'll close this. I should open up a new tab, but no. I'll just close this and then I'll open up again. I don't know. It's not, it's just a bad tradition I have. I just close stuff. I just like closing windows and having them open again for some reason. You don't have to do that, but I just like doing it. I'll just paste the script. Before we run the script, if we do run the script now, you'll have errors, because, these people already exist. So we have to delete them. I'll just remove them. Go to HR. Jane Smith was not there. We'll remove Jane Smith. In sales, we'll remove Mike Brown. And yeah, that's it. So we'll go back. We'll run the script one more time. Sales group, IT group, sales group. Okay. This should work in theory. I don't know what will happen, but also I forgot to say this. Yeah, it should be your if you get a different error in here, it should be whatever your domain name is. It doesn't have to be mine. You should edit this, right? Put have your domain name in here. Yep, that's it. And then we'll try to run the script again. And let's see what happens. Yay, that went well. So there were no error messages. So we assume everything was good. So we'll go back to Active Directory users and computers. And then, yeah, you can just refresh. And now you've got your new user added. So this is the power of automation. So rather than going in and doing this, and then you go new, and then you go user, and then imagine if you have 50, 60, 100, 200, 1,000. I mean, come on. That wouldn't work, right? So this is where we need the power of automation through PowerShell to get this done. And yep, so if we refresh, I'll just refresh all of this. Was it refreshed already? Yes, sales. So now if we go to our new user, right, which is Mike Brown, if we check, you can see that he's a member of a sales group. And we didn't have to go in manually to add him in there. If we check HR, you can see John Doe. If we go to group, HR group members, we can see that Janice and John Doe, which is the person that we added using PowerShell, is part of that group as well. Very important. In check, same thing. You can go to the IT group and you can check the members and you can see that Teddy and Jane Smith are all members of that group. So that is our onboarding script. I think I'll end the video here. Make sure to subscribe if you like this. If you have questions, any error messages you receive, just drop them in the comments. And then, yep, we'll see you in the next one where we'll be signing in using this user, and then it will be joining, our Windows computer to this domain. And yeah, that will be it. I don't know if we'll do policies, GPOs, but we might just do GPOs. I'll see what we'll do. Yeah, drop a like, subscribe, and yeah, have a good one.